So what I'm doing is that basically I am putting together plastic models to serve a purpose for a game called Warhammer 40,000, which is something that I've invested in for a long time. The lore, the game, the books, the literature, everything that's been surrounding by it. Uh, it seems very simplified to put it into words like this, but it is a very expansive universe where many things, many people, many different walks of life can be expressive of. But the reason why I do it is because I can kind of slip away from reality and be able to get into my own plane of, imagination, existence, where I'm able to get away from the world and express the feelings that I feel every day. My gravitation towards it was I was at a point in my life where I was lacking a lot of expressive feelings, ways to express myself, rather, is a better way to put it. uh you know it was a point in my life where I was grasping for things, and I met somebody very, very close to me while I was working in the environment that I was in, that introduced me to it, and I kind of grasped it, took it as my own, took my imagination and what I guess what the platform is the best way to put it, uh, gave me, and I kind of let my imagination run wild from there. You know what I mean? It seems like in this universe, in this platform, there seems to be a place for everybody, and that was very comfortable for me to get into, especially how diverse my thinking was compared to the rest of the universe, so to speak. Before I even break out the material items, like, if I want to really get into something, I really have to have an imagination. I have to really have an idea behind it, because if there's no motivation behind it, I really don't want to do it. It's as simple as that. Like, for instance, like, I'm currently competing in something called a crusade. If I'm not fully committed to that, it's like, what is it? Like, we there's a certain rules, certain parameters, certain things that you have to live up to, and it's like, if I'm gonna commit myself to this hobby and do all these things and paint and do all these things, I might as well be invested in it. So basically, my thinking about it is that I picked something that was introduced to me, something dearly, and I held it close. I basically brought it as close to my aura, I guess is the best way to put it, my way of being, as possible, and I found a place for it. Like, for instance, the faction that I'm in Warhammer 40,000, the Space Marines, the Salamanders, are like the most uh, kind, congenial. Like, they're the most hospitable towards other humans and other places and other things, and I think that really reflects upon myself. Now, other people in the hobby obviously will get other things out of it, you know what I mean? Like, there's many different factions that represent different meanings, emotions, everything, but this is just the area of the hobby that I seem to find home with. One of the things that I take pride in is when I go, and it is a part of the hobby. It's not the entirety of it, but the part that I get, that I really take pride in, is when I go to play a game out in public, and it could be at a place like where there's multiple people. There could be 10, 20 people. There could be 30 people in the hall. You know what I mean? And it's the 5 people that come over and say, wow, look how detailed those models are. Like, look how much effort that he put into that to make them look good. And whenever I decide that I'm going to put effort into a model, put effort into a squad of models, like you saw in the footage before, they could come from 1 to 5, and honestly, some of them compared to other factions could come 1 to 10. You know what I mean? Depends on how much time, effort, skill you want to put into it. And I decided that I wanted to put it into Space Marines, and basically it comes down to basically how much you care about the hobby and how much you want to put into it. And basically I came to a point where I wanted to fully immerse myself into the hobby. You know, I make up names, like set up, right now I'm running Crusade with the assistance of another person, where me and 7-8 other guys are running a competition. Like, that's how immersed we are when we paint our figures, when we give them names, when, you know, it's our escape from life. Why I picked this more than anything else, over electronics, over going out and lifting, anything anybody could think of. For the longest point in my life, I thought I lacked creativity. I thought I lacked things that I could give to the world that could be beautiful. I did for the longest time. And now that I've come into a medium, a plane where I can produce things and other people find it good and receptive, is wonderful. It really is. And the main reason why I picked up this hobby was I wanted to separate myself from electronics. I did not want to see my son just being sucked into a TV or a PlayStation or something of that. I wanted my son to see me creating something out of my own hands, something that didn't need anybody else. Take pride in something that he did on his own, something that he took the time and looked into and dedicated time with, and put the detail and put the necessary things into it in order to make it what he wanted it to be. Basically, for an overall view, I wanted my son to see that there's more things that could be presented to him in his life rather than a computer screen, rather than electronics. He could create a universe in his head. He could create something so beautiful in his own mind that he did not need anybody else to do it. Like, there's beauty and there's things that one can create in their own mind and their imagination where they don't need anybody else, and I wanted my son to realize that by watching me doing what I wanted to do. And one of the main reasons I got into this hobby, I'm painting the models, like taking the time to do every detail. I want him to appreciate every second of something important to him. I want him to be done a task and be satisfied, and not just be because somebody else thought it was satisfying, because somebody gave him a paycheck, because he looked upon himself and he thought that it was satisfying to him, it was enjoyable to him. He thought of a universe, he thought of a plane of existence, he thought of characters, people, places, things that he came up with, and that's respectable, and that's something that he should admire because that's something he created. And you know what I never want my son to be ashamed of something that he created and takes happiness in. I basically want it to be, no matter what it is that you choose to do to find your happiness in life, pursue it. Don't falter because of criticism. Do not waver because of something that someone close to you disagrees with. Do it because you're happy and it's something that you're doing because you only live this one life for yourself.